it's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, it's Ivy Slater. Welcome to this episode of Her Success Story. Today, I have the great pleasure to bring somebody I've had the opportunity to get to know. And she's an amazing person. It's so interesting to actually be able to connect with our colleagues everywhere. And that's who Nathalie Doremieux is. She was born in France, yet has lived the true American dream. Ready for this? After her and her husband finished their postmaster's degree in Computer Science and Economics, she and her boyfriend at the time, that's now her husband, decided to pack their bags and try their luck in the US. They landed in the Silicon Valley in California and quickly found jobs there. After 10 years of living a crazy and fun life, in 2005, after their career in biotech so let me rephrase this. They lived in San Francisco for 10 years. Nathalie is going to tell us all about their background in the biotech industry. They had a home in San Francisco, a chalet. They have 3 kids. They decided to pack their bags, go back to France and say, gee, it's time to go home. What are we going to create now? Nathalie, you're going to pick it up from here. Welcome. Thanks for joining me from the south of France today, where you are living actually the American dream in my world of running a business from your hometown in the south of France.
Thank you so much for having me, Ivy. I'm really excited to be here today.
And so I definitely botched up a little bit on the bio, and I'm going to own that. Yeah. So walk me through. So at what point did your boyfriend, then husband, decide to come to the U.S.? I know you spent 10 years here. We've had some chats before this. So just share with our listeners.
Sure. So basically what happened is that, so we actually met because, when I finished my high school, I had to, move away from home to a different university. Now in the US, I know it's very common that, kids, go to college in a different city and things like that. In France, it's a lot less common, at least at the time. I'm talking, 25, 30 years ago. Okay. So I basically moved across France, which to us was huge, right? So I literally knew nobody there. I didn't know how to cook. I had never lived by myself. That was pretty tough. And then of course I met, the boyfriend that is now my husband. And, when we finished our studies, basically, we realized that the market was really, really tough. So now we had this postmaster degree, 5 years of education, and we were actually in a field where France was really behind. I mean, France is behind technology-wise, and they've always been, they're always 5 years behind for some reason. So we knew with the advanced technology that we had studied that there was basically no work for us in France. So I knew people because I had been there on vacation before. And I was like, well, let me just send them an email, which at the time was not even we didn't have big emails and stuff. We had one email at the university, right? And that was news group and stuff like that. So we said, let me find out if we can come over and then see what that would look like. And they say, sure, come in. We live in the Silicon Valley. We didn't even know what the Silicon Valley was, which for us software engineers was really the holy grail, right? That was so we went there on a holiday during our last year of school, and we managed to land, I can't remember now, but maybe 4 or 5 interviews. So we're oh my God. So you go on a little vacation, you can get 4 interviews and people are looking for our profile. So let's go back. As soon as we graduated, we each packed a bag and was okay, let's go for the summer. If we find a job, great. If we don't, we'll come back. Now, the 2 families thought that we were crazy. It's what are you guys doing? This is never going to work. But guess what? 1 month later, I got a job. Actually, they made me, they say, how much do you want? So I said something. They gave me more. So that's really that was like, I mean, so crazy, right? Like,
right. It's understanding the cost of living in America versus where your background was from and how that financially translates.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the culture shock, right? It's like so different. So we end up staying, so what we did when I got the job, we had to get married, right? So that he can stay. So we went to Reno, which is kind of like the little Las Vegas, right? It's not too far from San Francisco. We drove there with the two people that were, at the time that we were living with. And they were like our witness for our wedding. And then we just got married. And then soon after, he got a job. And then we were able to go back to France, get our visa, and then come back to the US to work.
So you stayed in the US for about 10 years, managed to produce a few 3 children, a few pets along the way. Mm-hmm. What was the catalyst that it was ready to go home?
Well, living in California, I don't know, where I can't remember in what state you live, but living in San Francisco, having kids in the French school, having to drive down to the South Bay, life was just crazy. I actually fell asleep at the wheel twice. Ooh. One was on a bridge. So
dear Lord.
I was like just traveling too much. And, even though like the business was great, I mean, we were in the biotech and the research, my husband was working on the Human Genome Project, and it was like all super excited, but like no time to spend with the kids. We had the chalet in the mountain, like I was saying, but like, that's one time I fell asleep. It's just going back and forth, 2.5 hour drive. So crazy life, no time to enjoy the kids. And honestly, the family, we were starting to miss the family, right? They say they'll come to visit, but it's quite a lot of money, right? And a lot of vacation that you have to take.
It's a lot of vacation time. It's a lot of travel time. And people's best intentions, it doesn't always come to fruition.
Absolutely. So you go
back to France, and what's the industry in the south of France? Where does biotech people get jobs? I mean, like...
Okay. So basically, so the exact way that it pans out is, so my husband has always wanted to be his own boss. Okay. And I am the employee, right? The corporate person. Like I'm not an entrepreneur. I don't want to even, go into that. Right. And one day he says, well, do you want to go back? Right. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So then we agreed, with our job that we could go back to France for 2 years and then still work for them and then come back. Now, my husband was leading a team, and it was no problem with his boss. So I start to go there on vacation. I buy the house, I buy the big house with the big land and the pool, and like the one that we're still in today. I'm like so excited. And then shortly before we move, we actually, the research division closes down. So his boss doesn't have a job anymore, and then we don't have a job anymore unless we agree to stay, and they would relocate us. And we're like, no, let's take this opportunity and move anyway and start a business, because that's what he's always wanted to do. So it was not like in the plan, at the beginning of the plan when we wanted to move, but it ended up being, when we moved, it ended up being to start our own business. And we had no idea what it was going to be.
Right. So I always say, there's a great expression that says, man plans and God laughs. Mm-hmm. And that has come up several times, I have to say, in the last few days. And it's really important for us, and this is my opinion, it's so important for us to have plans and make plans and go live life with an intention and a purpose. And you must have that flexibility and buoyancy to know we have the greatest intentions when we make our plans, and then we have to, as the plans start into action, and you have a few detours along the road, that you have to have that buoyancy, flexibility to roll with it, because it will still be fabulous.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we took this as an opportunity. We said, well, maybe there is a sign there that this is the time. This is the time we're supposed to do it.
So tell me, so your business is you've been in business for how long now?
14 years.
14 years. Share a little bit about the journey, because very often when we start a business, we don't 14 years later are doing what we started the business in 14 years prior.
Absolutely.
And there's a big learning lesson there for our listeners who are entrepreneurs or starting businesses, have been in business and are chuckling a little bit in the background saying, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, so many lessons learned. I mean, if we have to do it again, it would be so different and we would do it differently. The first thing that we really learn is that when you have money and you think you have time, this is a very dangerous place to be. Because when we moved back, all we knew was our experience from the corporates. So what were we doing? Software. So we're like, okay, let's build this amazing software that we think that is going to be so good that people are going to want to buy it, right? So build it and they'll come, right? Of course, we were hiding behind what we know how to do, which is development, hiding from marketing, hiding from sales because we hated it at the time. And it took like 5-6 years where we started to run out of money that, you know, are back against the wall. And we were like, okay, so now we have to either get help or we go look for a job. So actually I went to look for a job and I wanted to see what it was like. Well, first the salary was really, really bad, but I had 3 interviews and I had 2 offers. And they were pretty good. I mean, for France, they were like pretty good. And I went there without really wanting to get the job, but I wanted to get the confidence back that I was worth something. Because when you're doing so well and then suddenly you transition and then for like 5-6 years, you make no money and nothing works, I just needed to get that confidence back.
And that's a really, really amazing learning lesson and an amazing teaching point. So I want to just, take a moment here and point that out to our listeners. When we all have ebbs and flows, life is not all, 100% high. You don't have 100% successes. We live in a journey. And what Nathalie is referring to, their ebbs and flows, I've had my ebbs and flows where, things were horrible, in a financial zone. And it's so important that you start taking those steps to get your confidence back, because until you do that, you can't build and grow forward. So great for you for having that bandwidth and taking that action, whether you knew it, didn't know what you were doing at the time, or learned in hindsight.
Yeah, exactly. And really, I know I could talk about this for hours, but just to give you an idea of how I was able to get there is, first, my husband has the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I don't. So when I joined, the reason why I actually agreed to do this was because, one, I was 100% confident that he was going to be successful. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to follow him. I'm going to listen to what he says and everything's going to work out. Well, he didn't see it that way. He really wanted a co-founder, right? He wanted a partner. So I actually got fired, not once, but twice by my husband because I was behaving like an employee. So things got, better and better. And I realized,
I want to point something else out. When you're in a partnership, and a partnership is 50-50. And especially if there's a partnership and there's an interpersonal relationship under there, somebody has to be the final decision maker. Everybody, when you bring 2 partners together, and I've been in many partnerships myself, and I've coached and done consulting work with various other partnerships. When you are in a partnership, you want to understand that each person has their different sweet spots. You don't excel at the same things, and identify that and run with it. And also when somebody is not working, somebody has to have that power, as your husband did at the time, and say, nope, not working.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. So that's something that unfortunately took some time for us to realize, that our personality and the way we are naturally wired is not something that you can change. So the more you know yourself and how you're going to behave and approach certain, situations, you need to know about that. And you need to accept that we are both very, very different. I'm a left brain and he's a big visionary. So the long 2-hour meetings to discuss what's going on, after like an hour, I get stressed because I want to get going on doing things. So, these type of things, right? It happened again this morning. He said, I see you're getting impatient, but we need to talk about this. I'm like, well, but I have this and this and this and this. So it's really getting to know, if you have a partner, but also getting to know yourself and where your weaknesses are. So for example, right now where we are, so what I realized after that is that I needed help, right? I needed self-development mindset, mental blocks, self-worthiness, all things, that when they make you, dig into the past, what happened as a child and all that stuff is coming back up, but it needs to, because this is who you are, right? So I've invested a lot in time and money into that to get to a place where I get to know myself, better and better, so that I can surround myself with the people that can support me in the areas where I know I'm not so good.
Touche. So tell us about your business today a little bit. You clearly got through the muck.
Yep.
Started building a business. How did you said something before that I really want to touch on. We didn't do that marketing and sales piece because we were the biotech, we were the engineers, we were in the development. And how did you eventually, I know we do the self-development work, etc. How did you transform into marketing and sales? And your business today is so hunkered into it. I didn't even share what you do. So let's go there.
So the way it happens, actually, my husband started to look online for, education and see what the online business, starting to pick up. We were doing software, which were out to sell. So we were starting to look into online, website and things like that. And he found Tony Robbins, a series with Tony Robbins, and he was interviewing this lady called Marie Forleo with us B School. And so I looked into B School, blah, blah, blah. Very long story short, I applied for the when they give you like a free pass.
Scholarship.
The scholarship, thank you. And you had to make a video. And I didn't tell my husband, but I went to the bedroom, locked myself, and I said, I'm going to do a video. Nobody has to know. If it's ugly, I delete it. But my husband could hear the cry and everything. But I finally did a video and I posted it on YouTube. And my husband saw that. And he was like, well, fast forward, I didn't get the scholarship, right? So if I wanted to do the school, I had to pay for it. And then my husband said, well, you went out of your comfort zone to do the video and post it. And that shows to me like commitment, that you really want to do this. So let's find the money and let's do this. And that's really how we got into the online, because then we had to find the money. And then I was like, I was not allowed to fail. I had to keep taking action. So I started to build a network and then connect with all the people that had signed up and trying to figure out what they were doing and how we could support each other. Like my fear was to be alone, because alone in the online space, you can't grow. I mean, at least I can't.
Right.
And that's really when it all started. And then it just grew from there.
So share about, your business today. You're 14 years into entrepreneurship. So, we could say you're in the early teens.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So basically what we've been doing is we've been niching down. And what we do today is we build membership programs. And I have a coaching programs that help heart-centered women entrepreneurs to turn an idea into recurring revenue with online programs. So we used to do, websites and, online platform and things like that. And in the last 3 years, we've really niched down to just helping women achieve financial stability with online programs.
So share with me a little bit on the importance of what you have found as you have niched down consistently.
Ooh, many things. One, the message is a lot clearer because I'm talking to one person and I'm not trying to serve, many, many people. I've simplified my business a lot because now when somebody comes and says, well, can I have a couple of hours of your time to do this? Or I know you used to build website. Do you have a question for this? And I'm totally okay to say, I'm sorry, I can't maybe point you to a person, but I can't. So it's the power of being able to say no to anything that is not my niche. And that can translate to many things. It's saying no to a potential client, but it's also saying no to the things that in business and life you tolerate and that are not helping you grow and are not serving you. And that's really what's helped, it's helped me the most. It's simplifying things. The vision and the mission gets much more clear right now. I want to help women achieve financial stability. And I found that out not too long ago by digging and digging. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? I'm like, I don't know. If I tell you it's to make money, I look bad, right? I was like, and then it's really digging and figuring out. And I was able to find it with a coach that what it is my fear, the entrepreneur fear of having the up and downs in revenue and not being able to provide for my family. Because that's what I lived as a child. And I didn't want my family to be that way. So to me, the financial stability, the recurring revenue, and being able to still be an entrepreneur and build a business around your life and not the other way around is like the ultimate, happiness, like you do what you want and you have that financial stability at the same time. And I want the same for women. And I believe any women can. If you have some type of expertise, we all do. We are a mom, a daughter, a sister. We all have something that we can share with others.
So as we close out today, what thoughts, advice, tips do you have for the women leaders who are in corporate and happy there and growing? The women leaders who are building businesses. You're a working mom. Your kids are how old now?
They are 15, 21, and 23.
Okay. As Nathalie said, she's not new to this. So I think my last question is, what tips or advice do you have for women leaders who are navigating, building their careers, their businesses, and moms?
So, and this is something that I've learned and I'm still learning. I think that the sooner you can realize that self-care and self-love and giving yourself permission to take time for yourself and look back and see if what you are doing is actually making you happy. And it has nothing to do about making money. It's like, is this fulfilling you? Because as mom, I know many people that are like this, they're all about taking care of their kids, right? But then when the kids leaves, which is, what is kind of happening right now with our two oldest, right? Then they're left with, okay, now what do? I don't know what to do. I don't have a purpose. Maybe I should start a job or maybe, so it's really realizing that you can be an amazing mom and, an amazing, partner, wife, and you can still have your own dreams and wants, right? And to take care of others, you have to take care of yourself first, right? To be right in the right conditions so that you can support others. It's the same for your family. It's the same for your clients. Take care of yourself first, and then you'll be able to, to share all the gratitude and the love around you.
Fabulous. Nathalie, thank you so much for joining me today. I love, one of my favorite countries is France, so I always love popping in there. Thank you for bringing me over to you. Listeners, to find out more about Nathalie, you're going to go to
newsoftwaremarketing.com. And we also have a YouTube channel that's called The Membership Lab. And that's where we share all our, free content around memberships.
Fabulous. And all the links are in the show notes. So you want to click on those, check them out. Of course, remember to leave a review. We want to know what your takeaways are. I always love to know our listeners, what impacts you, what you want more of. Of course, please click subscribe so we come to you every morning Monday morning in your inbox. Thanks again for joining us here today. See you next time.